Making stock is something that seems to put lots of people off. When you see that on a recipe, maybe you either avoid the recipe or you just go out and buy some stock cubes. But really, there's nothing more simple than making a stock. With a vegetable stock, you just need some very simple ingredients, just some onion and carrot. You can add celery, and then you can add really what you want. You can put some garlic in, mushrooms. I've got a couple of mushrooms here. And you don't have to have a bouquet garni. You don't have to tie up the herbs. I've just got a couple of bay leaves here. I'll put a few sprigs of thyme in. And all we're really doing is just softening down the vegetables in a pan and then adding water on top. And then we'll just boil that for about 45 minutes. Sorry, one of my cats has got the sniffles, so that was him sneezing. But as soon as I started making stocks, really I couldn't go back to the stock cubes because they have such an almost unnatural flavour. It's so strong in some ways and then it's just not subtle enough. So I would highly recommend that you make your own stocks. Start with a vegetable one, it's dead easy, and when it comes to meat ones, I can show you in other videos, but really you just have to brown down some bones. If it was chicken, you could have had a roast chicken, cut the carcass up, and again you're just going to boil that for about 45 minutes to an hour, and then you'll get a delicious stock that's so much nicer than a cube. If you can't do that, you don't have time, I'd highly recommend then that you get the ones that are already made in a bag, or if you have a deli or a butcher that sells jars of almost homemade stock, go for that. There's no reason to buy the cubes. They're too salty, they've got too much of a celery flavour, and they're not really adding anything interesting to your cooking. Anyway, here we go. Today it's just a simple vegetable stock. Nothing more than that. That's all we need for this dish. And making your own is just going to add something to the dish, add something to the feeling of cooking it. Dishes like this mean a lot to me really, because growing up a vegetarian, eating mainly vegetarian Indian food from the Gujarat, it was lots of soulful dishes cooked slowly, mainly by my grandmother. And watching her cook, I always used to think, I'll grow up and I'll cook these dishes. And in general, I find I haven't got time to make them, and that since I eat meat, obviously they don't accompany meat very well, being that they're flavoured to be vegetarian, if you see what I mean. They're vibrant and wonderful dishes. So, bringing it into my adult meat-eating life, dishes like this one, which feel like they're cooked in a similar sort of way. These are warm. This is a warm dish, and it's there to nourish you, and it's soulful. So in that sense, it means a lot to me to cook from scratch a dish like this. So I always try and get the best possible produce I can to make dishes like this, because the flavour you'll get out of them and the nutrition you'll get and the way you'll feel afterwards will make it all worthwhile. This dish couldn't be any simpler really. You need to just start off with a couple of decent sized large onions, and the other main ingredients to start off with are carrots. I've got 4 carrots for this amount. I've gone for the colourful ones, they just happen to be available today. It won't make a lot of difference. Some celery, about 4 sticks of celery as well. You're going to cook that down for about 10 to 15 minutes until soft, and then you're going to add about 4 cloves of garlic crushed and a teaspoon of smoked paprika. Once you cook that for another 5-10 minutes, just add in a couple of tins of the best crushed tomatoes you can get. And then we're going to be adding 2 different types of beans, that's cannellini and flageolet. And that's 1 tin of cannellini, 400 grams, and 2 tins of flageolet. And then you're going to cook that for a good 20 minutes or so. You can taste it and season it, and you can add a little bit of tomato paste if you prefer a stronger tomato flavour. And as you get to the end, when you're ready to serve, you can add in some green vegetables and some new potatoes which you will have already boiled, and you can season it with rosemary and thyme. There are loads of ways to serve Tuscan bean soup. One of my favourite is just to have bread, to make some pesto, or even just to have garlic bread. But today I've fancied a bit of meat on top, and again there's many things you can do. Chicken would work really well, roast chicken, but today we're having one of my favourite cuts of lamb, and that's the lamb neck fillet. which is a really juicy and tasty part of the lamb. It's actually slightly reminiscent of sort of like a beef steak, and it's really easy to cook. It's quite quick. I mean, traditionally it was used as a slow cooking piece of meat, but actually it works really well when it's flash fried and then put in the oven for a few minutes, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now.
Give these plenty of seasoning and then just sear them on all sides for 3 to 4 minutes in a pretty hot pan. And then they're going to want 8 to 9 minutes in the oven at 180 fan. I tried one of them for 6 minutes and it came out a little bit too rare, and the ones that were done for 8 minutes were great, and just rest them for a good 5 or 6 minutes. This lamb is actually really delicate and quite sweet, but I tell you what, if you get a chance to buy these lamb neck fillets and put them on the barbecue in the summer, they come out incredibly well. Really delicious smoky flavour with that lamb. So to finish this off, just ladle out some of the soup. You're going to put the lamb on top, and then I've decided to do some olive oil on top of there. And that's the Tuscan olive oil that I found at Waitrose, and then just some pieces of really nice parmesan and some sourdough bread to help mop it up.
Thanks for watching Meatster today. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, and as always I look forward to seeing any comments you might have. If you try the recipe, or if you think there's a better way of doing it, or just let me know what you thought of the recipe itself. And please go ahead and subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you next time.